I recently saw a comment by James Cameron that the DC and the Marvel characters act like they're in college.
Act like they're in
Act
college.
this is rich coming from a guy who's made millions of dollars creating characters who are immature and act like they're in college.
We're on express elevator to hell, going down.
That's a familiar theme in a lot of his films.
You'd know this if you had any training whatsoever.
He's got a date with the chief's daughter.
Oh, come on. That's not a...
Knock it off. It's like kindergarten around here.
James Cameron is a great filmmaker, you know, and if you look at his films, some of the most technically great films of all time.
Yeah.
Titanic, we'll just talk about Titanic. Every technical thing about the film, from set design, costumes, special effects, excellent. The problem with Cameron is the other side.
Okay,
the character development, the dialogue. A lot of times it pulls me out of the movie. Billy Zane is probably the worst villain in a movie. He's very shallow.
You know, there's nothing I couldn't give you. There's nothing I'd deny you. If you would not deny me.
Very one-dimensional. There's no depth to him.
Yeah. What does one-dimensional mean?
Well, it means the character, there's no nuance. My favorite villain is Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York. You find yourself admiring him, even though you know he's a horrible man, even though you know he's a murderer and he's a killer. But even the character of Amsterdam, played by DiCaprio in the film, finds himself admiring him. Yeah. And it's almost like he's torn because he wants revenge. He wants to kill this character. And yet he treats him like a son. Thanos is a very good example of a pretty well-written villain.
You know where he's coming from. He's just not a bad guy. You see the good side of him, kills him to kill his own daughter, to get the soul stone. It just makes him more human. Because the problem with villains in movies is that just, I will conquer the land. They just do violent things. They die. Who cares?
They're Saturday morning cartoons many times. They remind me of the old G.I. Joe cartoons when I was a child. I found it very ironic that he would make this comment about the DC and Marvel characters. Marvel has done a good job of that balance. Of the spectacle, but also good stories, good characters. You know, when you have a character in the movie like Billy Zane's character who has no depth, you didn't believe this was a real person. My problem is it's predictable.
You will honor me the way a wife is required to honor a husband, because I will not be made out of fool rose.
He's like paint by numbers. I know exactly what he's going to do, exactly what he's going to say. He checks all the boxes of what a bad guy, you know. And you ask yourself, why would Kate Winslet's character even be with this guy? He's not charming. He's just immature and one-dimensional.
Yeah, because Iron Man, playboy, billionaire. I mean, a lot of people would root for him because I think most men would want to be rich, fast cars, beautiful women.
You see that conflict start between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, where they're butting heads because they kind of see things differently, and the characters are all different. And like you were just saying, it's like you can identify with them. You're interested in these characters. You're interested in following these characters.
Right.
So whatever criticisms James Cameron has of the Marvel characters in particular, I'm not going to go into DC so much, but it's like maybe you should not criticize them and try to hire those guys to write for your movies. The corporation guy.
Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, Ribisi. Great actor. I love him. That character, it was almost comical. We're just going to go get this stuff. We don't care about anything. We don't care about nature. We don't care about the people that live there.
Well, keep going, Elmo. These people have to learn that we don't stop. Come on, go, go, go.
It was, once again, so predictable. Like, you knew exactly where this was going.
This is why we're here. Unobtainium. Because this little gray rock sells for $20 million a kilo. That's the only reason. It's what pays for the whole party. It's what pays for your science.
And then you have the character of Stephen Lang, who's also a very good actor. But that character is almost as comical as Billy Zane, if not more. You know, he's on that same level. He's the drill sergeant. He's the redneck. He's exactly what you think. There's no nuance. The second he's on screen, you're like, I know this character.
I know this guy.
This character. You're pretty much spoon-fed It's full of stereotypes and tropes that we're familiar with.
We have an indigenous population of humanoids called the Na'vi. They're fond of arrows dipped in a neurotoxin that'll stop your heart in 1 minute. And they have bones reinforced with naturally occurring carbon fiber. They are very hard to kill.
What is info dumping and why might it be a problem? It's what happens when writers allow technical detail to choke a story rather than letting it emerge in more subtle and manageable ways.
Many writers make the mistake of starting the story by explaining the world. We have no reason to care about the world, the government, the society, the magic system, any of it. We care about the characters and what matters to them.
Pretty, isn't it? Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Too much to one side or the other. Here, you try.
You know, there was all this hype. Number one movie of all time. Number one movie of all time. And what they mean is it made the most money. So that's what they mean by number one. And I understand that if a movie makes a lot of money, the people have spoken. So most people don't care about, they're not going to see Avatar because they want to see the characters growing and changing. They just want to see a spectacle. They want to see a giant robot with a giant knife killing a giant tiger creature.
Come on, come to Papa.
It's a movie you watch, eat some popcorn, have a good night, enjoy it. When you leave the theater, forget about it, move on with your life.
You hit the notes that made the money, and you got the people in the seats. Congratulations! I'm not gonna say you don't know what you're doing, James Cameron, but I'm just gonna say on the level of creating something original in terms of your story and your characters, I wouldn't say yours is a number one movie of all time. Number one movie of all time. Number one movie of all time. Not even close. You need to earn that.
I think we have to cut.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Hang on.